Despite the sunny and hot weather, actors on Death in Paradise don't seem to stay for long. Being a detective on the popular BBC show, which follows detectives out of their comfort zone solving crimes on the fictional island of Sainte Marie, can seem like a curse, with many actors leaving the top role. Over 13 series of the British-French comedy drama, filmed in Guadeloupe, there have been over 70 murders. Fans have seen 4 different actors take on the role of the island's chief detective, including Ben Miller, Chris Marshall, Ardal O'Hanlon, and current star Ralf Little. However, questions are being raised about the actor's future on the show, as his character Neville Parker has hinted at who could be replacing him. Di Parker has decided to leave to find the one after failing to find love and the arrival of his ex in Sainte Marie. Neville gave a hint about who could replace him in the latest episode, but Ralph hasn't said anything about possibly leaving, the Daily Mirror reports. Ben Miller, Richard Poole. It all started with a very hot and bothered Detective Inspector Richard Poole arriving on the sunny island of Sainte Marie in his suit and tie. He didn't like it there at first in the show's first series, but he slowly got used to the place. But then, in the 3rd series, something bad happened. Di Poole was killed during a reunion when he found out someone was stealing an identity. They used an ice pick. Ben Miller, who played him, left the show in 2014 because he wanted to keep his family together. He was going to be a dad. 2 weeks after I arrived in the Caribbean, Jessica found out that she was pregnant, he said. I've just got divorced and I've finally met somebody and now I'm on the other side of the world and we're having a baby. That's a proper curveball to be on the end of. So I knew what I had to do to get my wife back. Quit Death in Paradise. Ben made a surprise comeback to Death in Paradise for its 10th anniversary, despite his character's dramatic exit. He couldn't resist returning because he felt he had unfinished business with the role, which he revisited as a vision in the recent series. Chris Marshall, Humphrey Goodman. Chris Marshall, known from My Family, stepped into Ben Miller's shoes in the 3rd season. The clumsy and disorganized Humphrey Goodman adored life in the Caribbean and even found love with D.S. Bordy. Di Goodman chose to stay in London with his new sweetheart Martha after cracking a tricky case there. In reality, Marshall left the show in 2017 to focus on his family, feeling the strain of the demanding job. He explained to Radio Times that he and his wife Hannah had agreed he'd only do Death in Paradise for a few years. The actor shared, "It's something my wife and I discussed 3 or 4 years ago. When I was first offered the job, my son was 6 months old and my wife wasn't working, so it was a very easy decision. We decided I would do Death in Paradise for a few years until it became impractical. It was always quite a finite thing. I certainly didn't hide it from anyone I work with. I'm going to miss it terribly. There have already been times when I've thought to myself, have I made the right decision?" In June 2021, Chris confessed on Good Morning Britain that he had to exit as his son was becoming too Caribbean. He disclosed to Lorraine Kelly, "I realized that I really had to get my son to school. He was becoming a bit too Caribbean. He refused to wear shoes and would only drink coconut water and eat pineapple." He continued, "He was very good on the beach but not so good with maths and English, so I decided that it was time to get him to school. So the show had to go, really. But 6 months later, I'm standing on a film set in a car park in Dagenham at 4 o'clock in the morning thinking, have I made the right decision?" However, despite leaving Sainte Marie, Chris and his on-screen love now star in the Death in Paradise spin-off, Beyond Paradise. Ardal O'Hanlon, Jack Mooney. The next police inspector in line was Jack Mooney, played by Father Ted actor Ardal O'Hanlon. Di Mooney first showed up when the team traveled to England for a murder investigation and ended up in Saint Marie for a holiday fill-in. After 3 years, it was time for Di Mooney to move on, heading back to London with his daughter Siobhan instead of chasing a romance with Anna. "I've spent the last 4 summers in Guadeloupe playing Di Jack Mooney, cracking over 20 murder cases during my stay there," declared Ardal. "It's been a hugely rewarding and unforgettable experience, working with incredibly talented actors, directors, and crew while discovering a magical part of the world." Hinting that the heat may have been behind his decision to go, he added, "It's time to move on and explore other opportunities, preferably nearer the Arctic Circle." It doesn't look like Di Mooney is going to be returning to the show anytime soon, as Ardal claimed he felt a real sense of closure with the series. Ralf Little, Neville Parker. The royal family star Ralf Little is currently at the helm playing Di Neville Parker, who first appeared midway through season 9 in 2020. Neville has struggled a bit during his time on the island because of his several serious allergies. "It's the best job in TV," Ralph told The Mirror. "Not just in terms of location, because Guadeloupe is wonderful. But the show itself has become pretty iconic. In the space of an hour, we get a puzzle and a murder which are fully resolved, along with a red herring and a couple of twists. And you've got however many main characters who all have interplaying relationships and their own foibles and challenges to overcome. It's still a mystery if Ralph will keep playing his role, but the show is set to continue until at least 2025 because it's been given the go-ahead for 2 more series. In the latest episode, Neville hinted at who might take over his job in Saint Marie. He feels he must leave the island to find true love. After trying to find love didn't work out, and his ex showed up wanting to reunite, Neville thinks he should travel to meet his future wife and plans to say goodbye to the island. Ralf Little hasn't said anything about his character possibly leaving. Death in Paradise airs on Sunday at 9 p.m. on BBC One.